Welcome to Between Heaven and Earth, an internet radio talk show where we help you connect spirit and divine guidance. Lisa Kay, your host, brings you shows that can enhance and transform your life with tips and new ideas for more happiness, abundance, and better relationships. Lisa is an expert on intuition and can show you how to strengthen your inner guidance to empower yourself. Each show is positive and uplifting to inspire your day. Her guest speakers are specialists on self-help, positive thinking, spirituality, and conscious living. Be the best that you can be with Between Heaven and Earth, conscious living for your soul.
Blessings to everyone. Our show today is called Your Toolkit for Facing Anything in Life. Have you ever experienced this? You're sailing along day in and day out, and then you get hit out of the blue. Someone is sick, or a loved one passes away. Maybe you have a problem at work, or you lose your job. Life changes in an unexpected way. So what do you do now? And as life pummels us with everyday stresses and unexpected obstacles, it is sometimes difficult to see the way out. Now, wouldn't it be great to have a toolkit of things that can help you fix, modify, adjust, and solve problems for you so your life is easier? Our guest today is Cindy Nolte, and her book, called Finding Peace in an Out-of-Control World, a how-to book on being at peace regardless of what life throws your way, gives you that kind of toolkit. The practical ideas in her book can help you take back your power, connect with yourself, feel strong connections within, and recognize that everything has a purpose. Cindy is here to show us about how you can improve your life and handle whatever comes your way. Cindy Nolte is the #1 best-selling author of Finding Peace in an Out-of-Control World, a television talk show host, corporate speaker, and she runs a private practice in which she offers workshops, certifications, hypnosis, past life regression, and energy work. Cindy takes the mind-body-spirit connection very seriously, acknowledging that they all must be nourished to create optimum health and wellness. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
Thank you for being on my show, and I'm so excited. You know, it's one of those things that where synchronicity comes along and kind of puts the pieces together for you in your life, and you go, wow, I'm amazed that came together. And that's kind of happened in the last couple of days. And I've been going through my own little crises in life, and I'll get into that in a minute. But I wanted to just start with, how did you write, what made you write this book?
You know, I left corporate America because I was encouraged by my husband to pursue what I would do if I didn't get paid for it, because I was doing this, studying all of these amazing tools, and it was like my dirty little secret in the closet. I was training and traveling all over the state of New Jersey and Staten Island, and I always was the optimistic go-to person in corporate. I was a regional trainer, and I just started my practice, and everyone was always asking me how I always stayed so calm. And, you know, after a question comes up time and time again, year after year, you start to realize maybe there is something to
the universe is telling you something, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right. Were you always a happy person?
You know, I like to think I was, but I've had some really amazing examples that I even share in my book of people who just showed me how to live a life. Yeah. And I think that it wasn't so much that it was with effort. It was just, you know, we learn so much from watching someone's behaviors.
Do you have one in particular that stands out in your mind you could share with us?
You know, definitely my grandfather. He was, I always called him Poppy. And he was I was so close to him. And he was just really embodied that perfect person, but as we grow up, I know there's no perfect person, but he had this tremendous faith that he always just was that calm through any storm. And I strongly believe that I got that from him. And we never had a single conversation about it. It was, he was fun. He taught me how to play baseball. I was a little tomboy, so it was baseball and go-karts and sports. And I was always on his heel fixing things. But it was his mannerisms and his outlook on life and the way that he treated people.
So his outlook on life, there are two things, and how he treated people. So what was his outlook on life that you picked up?
Yeah, very optimistic, very
that's
hopeful.
Positive, optimism. Yeah. That's, they say that can transform you. So he always saw the good side of things, the silver lining?
He did. And the funny thing is, once again, it was never that he always was reverting back to that. And the ironic thing was my grandfather dropped out of school to help support his family through the Depression and was one of the most educated people that I knew anyway. You would watch him count numbers or add numbers like he had an adding machine in his head, just faster than somebody else could do it on their computer. And in those times, he had a very important job, worked his way up, was in charge of the creameries in my area. And back in those times, it was a very important job because milk was all processed in this one area. And when I was even born, there were more cows than people. So we
it's okay, we're live.
Yeah. And he just always stayed focused, always just believed the best would come. And that was amazing.
Even through the Depression and everything.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So how did you incorporate that in your life?
It was I just did it and never realized what I was doing.
I think you could learn. I think we have learned behaviors of being positive or negative, and certainly part of it is through our upbringing and what our parents say. And I think sometimes it's a little difficult thinking about it to get some of that out of your head, the watch out for that, and you got to do all these things, otherwise so and so is going to. I mean, I'm certainly a victim of that, or that, or product of that. It's and I find I do that to my kid, because you want them to be responsible and make sure that they get things covered and that they prevent bad things from happening, right? So what's the difference between being, blindly, Pollyanna, is that the word, about life, and then somebody who is implementing this properly, the optimism, the being, looking at the brighter side, and but it's still being, quote, responsible and knowing that, you can't not worry about. I mean, you do certainly still have to worry about, well, if I don't go out and work, then I won't make money. If I don't make money, I can't put food on the table, kind of thing.
That's a really interesting question. And, when we ask, really, where are these limitations coming from now? And what limitations really do exist, or Limitations really in effort, whatever we put in front of us often, right? I mean, isn't this world and isn't this universe limitless? And so if it's really within us to strive for something, isn't it a possibility?
Right. So I think what you're getting at is you're going to still do the things you need to do, right? Fulfill your responsibilities.
Absolutely.
I mean, have a positive view. All right. So, I don't want to be homeless and not work, but that's, it's like I go and work, and I know because that's just what we do. And and life's going to be good.
Well, we can't expect it to just fall on our, kind of fall on our laps, but at the same time, knowing that we wouldn't have a dream or we wouldn't have a set of goals if there wasn't a reason. Our intuition, our guidance kind of shows us what we need to strive for, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I totally believe in that. I think that's what your intuition is there for. It's kind of give you the guideposts and so on, of where to go and what to do. And it certainly helps make my life happier and in a better way. I think when we run into the bumps in the road, that's where things get a little more difficult. And, you want to be more at peace, so to speak. And what's the difference between, say, happiness and peace for you?
I think that joy, I consider it joy because happiness sometimes I think is that moment where we could be in laughter at a joke and be happy. But joy, I think, comes from the inside. And I think that is all part of peace because don't we want, doesn't that give us that feeling of peace when we are truly filled with joy?
Yes, I believe so. And then being, as you said earlier, about the calm within the storm, or being able to still have that feeling of calm rather than having it, the chaos all around you take you over and force itself upon you. So you still feel like you have some sort of control because you want to have. I think that's what is more upsetting is when you feel like you're out of control and you can't grab onto the peace, you can't grab onto the happiness, or at least bring that back into your life. So this is a wonderful conversation. We're going to continue after our break and come back and talk to Cindy about how you can find peace and happiness in your life.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know, I tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
And welcome back. I'm Lisa Kay, and you're listening to Between Heaven and Earth Radio. And we're here talking to Cindy Nolte about her book, which is really a great toolkit on how you can find peace and as her book says, in an out-of-control world. So we were talking about the toolkits, the tools that you can use, and some of the things that you can bring out when life throws you. Oh, all kinds of things. I've been going through a little bit myself, actually. It was synchronicity, Cindy, that just as I mentioned before we got on the air, yesterday my 95-year-old father fell down a couple times because it turned out as we took him to the ER that he had 102 temperature and it seems like a chest cold or bronchitis or something. So, but that turns into, certainly a lot of turmoil because I take care of my parents in these emergency situations. Otherwise, my mother is able to do what she can to take care of Dad, and but she's in her upper 80s. She's going to be 88 this fall. So, I think what went through my mind is, okay, so I know my folks are older and or as the doctor says, very old. And so you have, all these things that you think about, not only just the health care and how to take care of them, but it's also what is it, for a change in life. They're coming obviously to the close of their lives at some point. They're not by any means dying, but makes you think about, as my son says, not death but mortality, and now you have to face those things. So, Cindy, so what out of your book would be a place for someone like myself to start in terms of, hey, I just now I had this mini crisis in my family. I have to take care of my sick parents. So what would be a good one out of your book here?
One of my favorite chapters is with faith, all things are possible. And strictly, it doesn't mean that you have to believe in a particular creator. I really am respectful of anyone's belief system as long as it's positive. Mm-hmm. Because to me, when it comes to organized religion or even anyone's beliefs, I think it really is just our own interpretation that makes it different. So just believing that there's something more powerful in us than us that has our back. And,
yes,
so powerful, but often, we need that muscle. We need to develop that.
And I totally agree. I think I found in my life when there was a crisis, and I've had quite a few, like probably most people, maybe not as common as most people, but when things were really, really bad, and there were things that, health issues or crises that were happening around, having that faith was something that I had to draw on, but also going through the crises built the faith for me and helped me have more faith. So I think that's really, really critical. And I could see, actually, and I'll have a little anecdote for you, which I mentioned to you before, but I'll tell everybody out there. I love to look for numbers as my signs. And if you know me out there on Facebook, I always talk about my number 4, which is the angel number, and at least the angel numerology. And I had originally thought, I want to know my angels are there, and that's what the number 4 means. Is when I see the number 4, it means my angels are around. And so I thought, 1-4 is pretty common. So I want to see 4-4. So I asked my angels, will you show me, not 4-4, but 2 4s? And then I started to see 44 everywhere I went. And then being the scientist engineer, I thought, that's still so relatively common. Show me 3 4s. Mm-hmm. And then 444 showed up everywhere. And so then I said, okay, now I really want to, quote, test faith or at least, have some evidence. So show me 4 4s. And that's where I'm up to this year. I've been seeing 4 fours everywhere. It's in phone numbers. And you would think, oh my, 4 fours. I don't know what the odds are if you really think about it, but it's not the same as 1 4. And, this morning when I talked to the nurse for my dad, I said, could you give me his room number? And she says, well, he's on the 4th floor and his room number is 444. And I was like, oh, wow. Oh my gosh. And then I remembered that last night after I left him in the hospital, I prayed and I asked for the angels to surround him. I asked for Archangel Michael to come and surround him with all his angels and, keep him calm and happy and not anxious and worried, and to help heal him. And that's how I went to sleep. And then the morning, and I tell you, the nurse called me at 6 a.m. So I got, it wasn't super immediate, but it was when I got up that I got my answer that, they're there. And that to me is, helps build my faith. So I think that's phenomenal answer. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about.
I love when they confirm things for us.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you had any synchronicities?
Have I? I mean, we all do, but it's recognizing them in times like that you need to be applauded,
yes, you can
right?
miss them. And they're very easy to miss. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
well,
go ahead.
And sometimes it's that inner knowing. I also follow the angel numbers too, but sometimes it's just that inner knowing. I shared with you that my husband had this summer went through a health crisis, and we do not always know everything just because we're intuitive. So it's not like you have this book that you can open up to. And I think it was John Edwards that recently shared that when he was first beginning his work, he was disappointed that he didn't know that his mom was ill, but then realized
he's phenomenal. He's like amazing.
Yeah, but just realize that you get to know what you need to know, not what you feel you would like to know, right?
Yes.
So I found that through this we were given guidance, and I sometimes just know things, or all of a sudden I call it the angel chills. You get chills, confirmation that this is the right way. This is the right doctor. This is the right treatment.
And you have to constantly be on the lookout for, or be aware, right? Maybe, you don't want, people are always like, well, maybe I made that up, but, knowing, and being aware and open to the signs that come. I'm sorry.
And sometimes it is just subtleties, and that's what, that's when it's hard to catch, kind of catch it, because you can be overwhelmed, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally overwhelmed. And I think you talk about, maybe just, even if you're not going through, quote, the crisis, or if you are, one of your chapters says creating peace amid chaos. I always feel like I'm in chaos. And partly because I'm interested in so many things, but on the other hand, between my parents and my son and life, having, my business, and I actually have 2 businesses, but it's just overwhelming. So how do we create peace amid the chaos?
Well, I find that learning to say no to things is very powerful, because a lot of times we're not really following or saying yes to what's dedicated to our highest good. We're acting out of guilt or out of a need to please others, when really, if we sit back and always base our decisions on what's dedicated to our highest good, we're not harming anyone else either. But we're sticking to a more direct plan. I'm big into also meditating, but, when I first began studying, I had one teacher who said, you have to meditate. And, I'm really not good with have-tos. Yeah, I find that meditation is one of the most powerful tools that we, can use and that we can learn. However, I feel that when we sit down and we tune into ourselves, our spirit, our soul, it guides us to what we need in that
helps
time.
You. That helps you pick and know what to say no to, right?
It absolutely does. And it lets us know what's important, right? What's important to our journey. Because what we can do is get pulled off our own journey and living someone else's. And I think that so brings often. So much chaos into our lives, right?
Yeah, I think, I also think in the world of the internet and YouTube, even more so, even if you're like us who remember when there were no computers. What, cell phone? What's that? That now it's even worse because we are constantly being distracted, and we have email and we have messaging, and then you get pulled in all different kinds of directions because you get interrupted. And we engineers call that interrupt driven. That means that you get what's literally known as an interrupt, and then the computer goes, okay, I got to go deal with that. And that's what we do as human beings. That I get a text from my son, and he wants the name of such and such, and then you get an email, and so wants you to respond to something else. So it's very difficult to create that priority. Then it becomes chaos.
Right, and you noticed. All right, now obviously as a mother, you have to make sure that your son is safe and that he's cared for. But there are certain times that your text messages, and I'm not saying from your son, but there are certain times when your text messages are less important. And I have to tell you that some people may cringe at this, but my text message notification is off on my
Well, that's
cell
a good
phone.
idea. Listen, I think we're supposed to go to break at this moment, but I don't hear the music coming up, which is a little disconcerting.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Imagine receiving healing, vibration-raising energy as you listen to the radio. Energy that flows effortlessly to you. Imagine exploring all things metaphysical, sharing in an ongoing adventure. Join me, Karen Smoot, along with my co-hosts Lisa Victorson and Wendy Weber for Immersion into Source every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on OM Radio.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business. Join Elliot Jollish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jollish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jollish Hour. Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
And we're back. So we did get a nice little break there. And I wanted to let you all know you're listening to Between Heaven and Earth Radio. I am Lisa Kay, and I'm your host. And we are talking to Cindy Nolte about how to bring peace into your life when you're in a chaotic world. How do you be happy all the time? Or at least have that calmness in your life, bring it back so that you don't always feel like you're out of control, and let the world around you bring you places where you don't want to be, I guess, within you. So what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about where you can find Cindy's book. It's called Finding Peace in an Out of Control World, a how-to book on being at peace regardless of what life throws your way. And Cindy, can you let us know where people can get your book?
Sure. Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. It is at select local bookstores, but also they can just go right on my website, FreshLookOnLife.com.
Okay, great. Fresh Look on Life.
Yes.
So that's FreshLookOnLife.com. And I believe the show page should have the link if you guys want to go check it out. So just go there. And Cindy, did you want to talk about, I think you had mentioned a fundraiser, was it?
Oh, yes. I actually do have a fundraiser set up. The high school that I graduated from, a coach came to me and said that because of budget cuts, one of the sports teams was going to experience some cuts themselves this year. And they said, would you be willing to do a fundraiser? I said, of course. So October 3rd, it will be at Kittatinny Regional High School, which is in Newton, New Jersey. We will fill the auditorium, and it is on October 3rd, which is a Saturday, 6:30. I will post the link for tickets as soon as the tickets go on sale. Because it's a high school, they will start after the school year starts, which is after Labor Day. But all of the proceeds will go to the sports team, and they decided to also split it with a local cancer patient in the area who was in need of some help paying medical costs.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. Well, that's what OMTimes is all about, is helping others. So that's wonderful, wonderful. So, and where can they get to find information on that? Is that on your website?
I will have that posted on my website. It'll probably be about 2 weeks. I have to give the school a chance to get back in session. They confirmed it at the last board meeting and approved it. And several of the teachers had attended a local fundraiser that I did in April for a young lady who was suffering from a disease that required her to get a double lung transplant.
Oh, my.
Yeah, and they liked the fundraiser, had a lot of fun with it, and wanted something similar. So I do a lot of different things, so I can change fundraisers around, but we'll probably do the past life regression, speak a little bit about soul circles, why we kind of connect with people instantly, and I even did some readings for the audience. So something of that nature. We may tap into some of their abilities too and show them just how much we all are intuitive.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I've got a few things I'm going to announce. I have a class that I teach over the weekend. It's Developing Your Intuition Level 1, and it's going to be in November 7th. And I'm telling you early because it does fill up, but also because it's in person, and you may want to plan for that. It's November 7th and 8th at the Doubletree in Tarrytown, New York. And what is the course about? Well, you learn, no matter whether you're intuitive, you feel you're intuitive or not, everybody learns how to develop their intuition and make it happen when they want, on what they want, and get detailed information. I teach you how to get those intuitive messages more consistently, how to find your inner guidance, how to find your synchronicities. We were just talking about using your intuition to know what your priorities should be in life so that you can get out of the chaos and back to the peace. And it's really, we do a little bit of science and in terms of explaining how this intuition is not just airy-fairy, that there is scientific research that's that supports this and how it works in the brain, the psychobiology. But we do a little metaphysics as well, how to protect yourself from negative energy, how to raise your metaphysical energy level, and people love that, and how you might want to use your intuition for a myriad of things. So it's a very experiential workshop, and I invite all of you to come. If you go to my website, lmk88.com, and go to the events page, you can see more about it, and you can certainly contact me on if you have any questions. It's a great course. I put a lot of people through it already, and they really enjoy it. I also have an online course version if you're interested, and you can go to intuitiononly.com, sign up there, and you'll get some free introductory videos that show that actually is high-value content on giving you some good concepts on how to get your intuition going, even if you don't want to make the course right now. You can take those videos, and they're free. And also in September, I'm going to be in Denver at the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo giving a keynote talk on the 10 Key Secrets to Intuition. So come on out there. It's going to be at the Denver Mart, I believe is what it's called. It's September 12th at 1 p.m. So the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo in Denver. So check that out. That's also on my website, lmk88.com. And I am also looking for sponsors for this radio show. So if you want to place an ad on this show, email me at radio@lmk88.com. Let me know that you would like to sponsor the show, and I'll let you know what the rates are. They're really inexpensive, and because we're on the OMTimes radio network, between the social media and the subscriber reach and the listeners, what's wonderful about OMTimes radio is we reach millions of people, and so you'll get exposure not only through the live show, but also in the archives, which stays out there forever. So Cindy, you're with us forever. I wanted to get back to our discussion before we were interrupted. I was talking about being a parent and also having the rest of my life, either, if you're working mom or working dad, and then you've got family issues, or you've got just kid things. People, now I've got an older child, so he texts me and he needs this or that, or when they're younger, you have to remember, did you bring this for school, or do you have your lunch money, or do you have your lunch and all that stuff, and then things come back. So you were talking a little bit about how do you handle those things as a parent.
It's not only parents, right? Even people who don't have children, we can be interrupted. So it's really about stopping and saying it's a priority right now. Now, if your child needs you for an emergency, obviously that's a priority. Right. But, determining if this can wait or if something that you're working on, because sometimes parents or sometimes even a friend, we put their needs or their wants off, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we had a long discussion over wants versus needs.
Yeah.
And their wants are always needs. I need that. I need that video game.
Yeah. And I want that right now. Mm-hmm. I want that right now, even though you're in the middle of this. So it's being able to step back and realize, would you stop everything if this was your want, your desire?
Mm.
Right.
Well, and I think you were, I think it kind of goes back to, as you were saying, the wants and the needs, and being a parent and knowing whether it is a want or a need. And we as parents have to determine the needs versus the wants.
Exactly. And it's difficult at times because we want to make everyone happy.
Sure, absolutely.
But realizing that really we can't make anyone happy. Except, no. Right?
No, you can't. Ourselves. Yes. You can't make others happy. And I think that, one of the chapters you have in here in the book is called Teaching Others How to Treat You. So I think that applies so much here. And teaching your children or other people. Well, children are, in some ways can be easy or hard, but I think not being afraid to teach them what's okay and what isn't, and probably for a lot of us that's not too hard. But then how do you teach people who are not your kids how to treat you? What did you mean by that in the book?
It's about setting healthy boundaries. And, just to go back to one of the statements you said about how do we stay happy. And I'm totally cognizant to the idea that we are not always happy all of the time. None of us can be. So my book is not a claim that you will be, buy this book and you will always be happy. Because it is, it's my belief that our emotions, whether they're positive or negative, there are keys to letting us know if we need to make changes in our lives, if there's something that we need to kind of alter to along our journey. So teaching others how to treat us. Well, we can get negative emotions, right? We can feel angry, we can feel hurt, we can feel upset, all as an effect of someone maybe overstepping boundaries that we wish we had in place, but we don't put in place.
So can you give us an example? What's a good way I think a lot of people don't do that because, they're afraid of how to say that they don't want to hurt somebody. I guess in the next 30 seconds, if you could tell us. Give me an example.
Okay, great example. I do not like people to come to my house without calling first. Mm-hmm. People know that. And you can either enforce it or if people pull into your driveway without calling, you can cancel your plans every time they just pull in.
Right. So I think if you kind of let them know ahead of time, hey, I'd love to see you, but, just let me know ahead of time so I'm ready for you because I want to be with you 100%.
Right. I wish I knew you were coming. I have plans to leave in a half an hour.
Exactly. Well, we're going to go to break now. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Cindy.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
And we're back. I'm Lisa Kay, and you're listening to Between Heaven and Earth, radio, conscious living for your soul. And we're sitting here talking to Cindy Nolte about how to find peace in your life. Mm-hmm. And, Cindy, I saved the best for last. I've got your chapter 3 on intuition, connecting with your creator. Tell me a little bit about intuition. As you know, that's what I'm all about, and what to try help others with. So where has intuition helped you?
You know, the interesting thing, we often think that intuition isn't for mainstream, but intuition is absolutely for mainstream. And sometimes it's called hunches or gut feelings. And I mentioned that I used to work in corporate America, and I was a regional trainer. But I also did sales forecasts. And I used to get bonuses for being spot on. And the funny thing is, no one ever realized that I was spot on because I was setting it. I was determining what I would come in and how the region and individuals would do based on my intuition.
You made money off your intuition.
I guess I did.
Yeah. So how did it work for you? What did you do? Did you have like a magic, or I don't know if you want to share it, but well, maybe since you're not working in corporate anymore, what was the process for you? How do you use your intuition?
You know, that was just really just intuitively, just being still, being present, and just tuning in and being very accurate with forecasting.
Did you decide at some point, okay, now I want to do the forecast, so I'm going to receive, and then you sit and be open? Or is that how that works?
You know, for me, because this is where two worlds really did collide.
Sure.
So I would have to give reports, forecasts on whether it be a quarterly basis or even weekly basis. And I would just go into my office, shut the door, and it would be close my eyes and that quickly tune in.
It would
and
just
get
come.
them.
Yeah. So you set an intention, really, because you knew you had to get this information, and you closed the door so you wouldn't be disturbed. And I assume, you set an environment where you knew it would be quiet, hopefully, and sat down. One of the things I train people to do with their intuition, to make it happen when you want, is you have to trigger it. You trigger it with a question, or you trigger it with an intention. And just doing that, so it sounds like you had that intention. Okay, I need the information now. So I'm going to close the door, sit down, and take that moment, and whatever comes. Is that how that works?
Well, absolutely.
Did it come as a number?
It did for me. But here's the thing. We start to, just as as you teach as well, we get to know our own intuition and how it works, because for some people, they may be clairvoyant. For some, it may be in the form of a gut feeling. I mentioned that I feel things sometimes.
So did you feel the number?
I do get the chills, and I do feel it in my body, because I am a very, that is one of, I am a very feeling type person.
And I find it fascinating. That's why I ask people all the time, because I learn too. And even though we're all, quote, different, we're also the same to some extent. And I found that we'll have similar experiences in how we receive intuition. And when I talk to people on how they got it, and we do exercises together, it'll be, it's interesting, because it's like, wow, I got that too. I got the feeling it was a 5, and somebody else said, yeah, I sort of felt a 5-ness, or maybe I saw it, and so you can start to see how there is some overlap, and how people receive, and just talking about that's why I'm kind of probing, because when you talk about your intuitive experience, it helps other people. Now, not everybody gets it the same way. But one of the things I found was interesting is just, again, having people describe it. Someone had once described to me, actually it was one of my teachers, had said, when they say, well, you feel the energy in the room. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And what she said was, she says it might feel like the air pressure changed. Well, now I know what that feels like. If you walk into, this happens. Like you're on a plane, and maybe you have to walk out on the tarmac. I mean, all of a sudden the air pressure changes. It feels different on your skin. It feels like, maybe feels a little heavier. And so then now I got an idea of, okay, I understand what that intuitive feeling feels like. So that's kind of what I'm asking for you. So you're a gut feel person. You feel it.
I am, but I find that we as individuals, when we're moved away from using our intuition, and then try to get back into it, we have to develop it just like we'd go to the gym and work out.
Exactly. Exercise, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
And, once you get into it, yes, it does come naturally. But it doesn't just, it doesn't come naturally because one day you decided to use it.
Use it. Yeah. Do you do any particular exercises, intuition exercises?
I always tell people to try it out with things that really, they're not so important, like which way could I go to work and would my commute be smoother?
And have you done any, do you have any stories you could tell about your intuition and how you exercised it and how it worked for you?
How it worked for me. Let's go with lately. I have used my intuition probably on a daily basis. I've been working my job, I have my own practice, and I work with my husband too. So I was coming home because I wanted to make sure I was without any distractions. And clear out of the blue, on my way home, I got, turn here, it'll be quicker. And, we get little prompts all the time. But
so
I
you heard that.
It. Yeah, I said, why do I want to go this way? Always avoid it. I said, I'm going. I got home 15 minutes faster than normal.
Wow.
Yeah. And I saw that there was construction the other way. It wasn't that way going. And these are little things that are unimportant.
Right.
But
I think it's great, though, because it helps you.
It helps you because when you develop it with little things like that, you notice it with bigger things like, a medical crisis.
Right, exactly. I have one. I have a story where I was driving in the city, and I too try to use. Obviously, I try to practice what I preach, and I was going down one of the avenues, and if you're not familiar with New York City, the way it works is on the long avenues that are north and south, that the lights will turn green just enough time in sequence to help move you down the avenue. So you have, if you stay with them, you can actually go down the avenue quite far. But you got to stay with them. So I was driving south, and I noticed there was construction. Now there were actually, I want to say, 3 or 4 there were about 4 lanes in this wide avenue, and in the far left lane there was construction. And I could see it go down a little ways, and I thought, all right, I'm going to ask, which lane should I get in? Because I was at the red light waiting for the green. Which one should I get into, and or which one should I avoid? And it told me the second from the left. Not the far left, but the second from the left, stay away from. And I thought, well, the construction's on the left, not the second from the left, but I'll listen to it. So I moved over to the right, and I was going down, and I saw at the far left there was construction, and then all of a sudden in the distance, in the second left, the construction moved. I was like, oh, great. And I stayed with lights, and I could move down. So, it's great when it works for you. You get home sooner, you can get through and get downtown faster.
But it is a practice, and you really can practice every day. The phone's ringing. Who is it? You turn on your computer. How many emails do you have before you go into your email?
Who's going to write you?
Right.
Did so-and-so write you back?
Right. Exactly. Which line is going to get me out of this store quick?
Oh, I like that. I like that.
You know,
they're great. These are great exercises.
And the more you practice, the more accurate you are.
Yes, and you build on that.
And I'm big into, my husband always jokes around with me and always laughs because ever since I was a little kid, as far as back as I could remember, my dad always said, there's always one up front when we were searching for a parking place. Did not matter if it was holiday parking, what was going on. He always said there's one up front. Well, law of attraction, expectation, call it what you will. I always believed that because that's what my dad said. So I still to this day experience that because no one taught me anything else.
That's awesome. So you see, you put all those things together and then you ask your angels and your guides to guide you, use your intuition to guide you, and do those exercises. Well, we're coming up to the end of our show, Cindy. It's already the end. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, it was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you're here, and you can reach Cindy at her website, which is, I've got it here, freshlookonlife.com. And you can reach me at lmk88.com. Sign up for my newsletter, and you're going to get 16 free exercises for your intuition. Just free. Just sign up and get lots of intuition tips. lmk88.com. So you've been listening to Between Heaven and Earth, Conscious Living for Your Soul. Tune in next time right here on OMTimes Radio, and we'll talk to you next time. Angel blessings to everyone. Bye.